Our guest today is author Kate Genovese, and she has written a book. It's been 2 weeks since my last confession. When this came through, I looked at it and I thought, oh, this sounds absolutely terrific. Not only is it terrific, and you know there's a religious connotation there, but it has to do with an Irish-American family in Cambridge. And it is a family that, in fact, the father's very successful. He's been mayor, he's been in the Senate. The mother's very religious. They live in a lovely home, but in fact, it's not going to lay out that way for the heroine of the story, who is Molly. And she runs into all kinds of difficulties, because behind this facade of good fortune for this family there is abuse, there is somewhat violence, there is unhappiness. But I'm going to let Kate tell us about it. It's interesting the way you start your story. And that she is in the Arch Street Church in Boston, and she's been beaten up by her drug pusher, friend, what have you, partner, whatever you want to call him, and she just doesn't know what to do. And she finds her way to Cambridge and goes into McDonald's and thinks, is there a possibility she's going to go back to her family? But then, the drugs, she's hooked, keep pulling on her. So take it from there, what she does.
Yeah, well, 2 weeks since my last confession is a family saga. It's about the O'Brien family. There's 8 children. Focuses on 2 of them, Molly and Sean. Sean's the oldest. He's 8 years older than her. And it goes back and forth with their lives. Unfortunately, Molly is the victim of sexual abuse from Sean, and it kind of starts to unfold in the very beginning of the book how it happened. But it's different than other sexual abuse cases in some ways, because Sean abused her because he was abused growing up by some unknown kids on a golf course. So he was doing to Molly what was done to him. But the story unfolds, and it's actually a very healthy ending, how that part of it ends up. But there's a long, long way. There's 336 pages of what Molly goes through to get better, what Sean goes through to find out, because he was having flashbacks of different events, different things happening. It takes Molly through a teenage pregnancy, with her boyfriend, Bobby Angelo, who's a big baseball player at Cambridge. And the story evolves with that. He leaves her because of her pregnancy. Molly's forced to go to a home for unwed mothers. And keep in mind, the parents are very political, very religious, so there's a flavor of all that thrown in, how the Catholicism has kind of laid a guilt trip on both of them.
Yeah, well, the Mr. O'Brien is tyrannically the ruler of the family and politically ambitious, and she is the woman who goes to church all the time, and she just shrouds herself in religion. Now, this kind of a family, I graduated from high school in 1945. You could do the math as to what I grew up with, and I was in an Irish Catholic neighborhood. This was not an unusual thing.
Not
in the
all.
40s and the 50s, the 60s, what have you. That in fact, the woman just, the novenas, the going away with other women, and getting some kind of relief from what was happening in the home. What I want to know from you, because you are much younger, and so you've seen Irish Catholic families, Italian Catholic families, what have you. Does this still hold true, do you think? That the woman would be that quiet, because they were very quiet. Whether they were being slapped around where I lived, what have you, they were very quiet, because it would be such as Molly to tell this story about the sexual abuse. Nobody would believe her, and then finally, interestingly enough, the father did believe her. But it was handled all wrong. It
was handled all wrong.
Yeah.
If it was today, in a healthy family, they would have all gone to counseling. They would have acknowledged.
Different. Isn't that interesting? Because that's what I'm thinking, reading your book, that indeed it was everybody was ashamed. You didn't go outside the family.
No,
this became a wound that kept growing within the family.
Right, exactly. And it was very painful to Molly, who just saw life so realistically, and and concretely, like, let's do something about this. For instance, when Sean was caught on UMass campus with drugs, you know, she couldn't believe her father swept that under the rug. Like, you got to be kidding me.
But that was
the time.
I once heard a story about a child who'd been abused. She'd been raped. I mean, it was beyond abuse, and they just kept her in the house for many years. The family was so ashamed.
Exactly. But I don't think you'd see that in 2008 because of all the things that have happened with the Catholic Church and with the sex abuse scandals. Although this story did not involve a priest, it had the climate of being a Catholic. It had what you were brought up with, and to keep things in that house. What you hear in the house stays in the house. You don't
and
go
for
around
all your
talking about
woes,
it.
what have you, you did not bring the woes outside the
No.
religion. You kept it here.
Yeah.
And keeping it here, I mean, the sore festers.
Right. And so the story really, there's no good guys and bad guys. It just shows the hope and the healing and really what happens to Molly, because you do think she's going to die. Her drug addiction took her down really deep. She
Don't
hit
give out
bottom.
the end. Let them get the book.
Yeah.
Because it keeps you, I haven't quite gotten to the end yet.
Oh,
and I don't
yes,
want to
don't
hear
wanna
the
spoil
end.
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But this is an absolute, it's a fascinating book, and it brought me back over the years. Various, Catholic families that I have known, and so much of it has changed today. And I feel badly for the church, I really do, because something was lost there and not telling the truth. And they are losing, their congregation, and yet basically this is a very good religion.
Right, exactly. I have mixed feelings about it myself, but, once a Catholic, you're always a Catholic, no matter what.
That's
like
what they
being
say.
Irish. I mean, you can't get away.
Can't get away from it.
So it is wonderful, and you go back and forth with that. With 2 weeks since my last confession, you do get that feeling of this love, especially towards the end. Molly goes in the church, and she just wants the church to hug her again.
Yes, that was an incredible expression that you wrote, that what she was looking for there. Now, if people, do you have a website, Kate?
I do. It's my name, KateGenovese.com. I'll spell that KateGenovese.com. You can order the book off the website, or you can order it in bookstores, online bookstores. I'm having 2 book signings coming up the end of April. I don't know if this will be
where are
on
they going
then.
to be?
The Woburn Mall on April 19th, and then in Watertown at the Masonic Temple on April 25th.
And the website, once
10 to
again?
2. KateGenovese.com.
Our guest has been Kate Genovese, and the book is It's Been 2 Weeks Since My Last Confession, which tells it all. Thank you so much.
Thank
That's a
you very
great
much.
title.
Thank you.